Hi boys and girls, today we're going to be reading Pete the Cat Checks Out the Library, and this book was written by James Dean. And before we begin, boys and girls, I do want to take a moment to thank the publisher, Harper Collins, for allowing us to read this book today. Okay, so let's begin. Pete's mom is taking him to the library for the first time. The librarian gives Pete his very own library card. "Cool," says Pete. The librarian smiles. "Time for the tour." And here's the librarian at the information desk. And remember, when we're at the library, we always have to be very quiet, boys and girls. And she's stamping his library card. The librarian takes Pete through the library. There is a big desk where people wait to check out books. And this is the checkout and returns section. Pete sees some of his friends reading at a long table. It's very peaceful and quiet. How relaxing. The librarian takes Pete to her favorite room. There are lots of Pete-sized chairs and tables and shelves. There are books of every shape, size, and color. And look at all those awesome books, boys and girls. "What do I do now?" Pete asks. "Now you read a book," the librarian says. "Which book should I read?" asks Pete. "You can read any book you like," says the librarian. Pete looks around. There are so many books. Pete picks up a book all about airplanes and jets. And here's a book. It's titled Soar. It's got the jets and the rockets. He reads it and pretends he is a stunt pilot. He flies a super fast jet and does loop-the-loops and spirals high in the sky. Then Pete finds a book with dragons, wizards, and unicorns on the cover. He reads it and imagines that he is a powerful wizard, using magic spells and a special wand to defend his castle against a fire-breathing dragon. Next, Pete opens up a book about spiders and insects. He reads it and imagines that he is a scientist studying all types of critters in the wild. And here he is reading the bug book. And here he is imagining he's a scientist. He has to be very still to study some critters and very fast to study others. Then Pete chooses a book with all sorts of scary monsters on the cover. It is a book of fairy tales. Pete reads it and pretends that he is in a dark, spooky forest trying to outsmart a big, bad wolf. And here's a monster book. And there's a big, scary wolf. Pete puts that book on the shelf. It is too scary. Pete opens up a book about the pyramids in Egypt. He reads it and pretends that he is an explorer, riding a camel across the desert. And climbing to the top of a great pyramid. Next, Pete picks a book with all sorts of robots on the cover. He reads it and imagines that he is a robot at a robot dance party. His arms and legs make whizzing sounds when he moves. When Robot Pete speaks, he says, "Bleep, bloop, bleep." And there he is pretending to be a robot, making all sorts of whizzing sounds. Next, Pete picks up a book about superheroes. He reads it and makes believe that he is a superhero. He flies around the city in a colorful cape, chasing bad guys and saving the day. And here he is with his superhero cap. And he caught the burglar coming out of the bank. Then Pete spots a big book about the ocean and all its creatures. He reads it and imagines that he is a scientist in a submarine deep in the Atlantic Ocean, looking for whales, squids, and sharks. And there he is in the submarine. There are so many wonderful books to read at the library. Pete can be whatever he imagines with a book. Reading is super groovy. And here he has his library card. That is our story for today, boys and girls. I hope you enjoyed this story as much as I did. Make sure that you test this story on Reading Renaissance as well.